Distinguished panelists, dear moderator, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, today we commemorate the International Day of Persons with Disability. Persons with disabilities are estimated to represent 15% of the world's population. 1 in 10 children has a disability. 1 in 5 women is likely to experience a disability during her lifetime. Furthermore, 46% of persons 60 years of age or over have a disability. In humanitarian context, these numbers can go much higher. We dedicate today to all persons with disabilities, their families and communities, and every single one of us who one day will have the disability. We recognize and value contributions made by all persons with disabilities to the overall well-being and diversity of their communities, and recall that the promotion of a full enjoyment of their human rights and fundamental freedoms and the full participations of persons with disabilities, young and old, will result in significant advances in the social and economic development of our society. It is an honor to participate in this important event, which Ecuador has the privilege of co-sponsoring in order to address the inclusion of young persons with disability as part of the 13th session of the Conference of State Parties to the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. I want to thank the Permanent Mission of Finland, the Office of the Secretary General's Envoy of Youth, the United Nations Population Fund, the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights, the UN Children's Fund, and the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, the World Health Organization, and the Executive Office of the Secretary General's Disability Team for adding their efforts to the realization of this panel. Dear friends, the 13th session of the Conference of the State Parties to the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities closes today after several days of deliberations in the midst of global circumstances that demand our collective effort. With millions of COVID-19 cases worldwide, economies and health systems have been put to the test. Above all, the pandemic has highlighted the vulnerability of certain groups, particularly persons with disabilities, who suffer disproportionately for economic hardship and health-related problems. In my country, Ecuador, the crisis caused by the pandemic has required an interinstitutional articulation toward the implementation of a public policy on disabilities, accompanied by multiple efforts to protect persons with disabilities and their families, especially focused on prevention, respect of their rights, and comprehensive access to health care during the emergency. We must work for the inclusion and access of persons with disabilities to health services on an equal basis with others, including medicines, vaccines, and medical equipment, as well as critical information that is available in accessible formats. Likewise, the active participation of persons with disabilities, and particularly young persons with disabilities and their representative organizations in all stages of the response and recovery from COVID-19 are an imperative so that all persons with disabilities are at the center of our efforts. Furthermore, we must ensure that youth with disabilities receive equal treatment and that they are guaranteed access to all services and programs. We must create awareness of the needs of young persons with disabilities while combating stigma and the harmful social norms that affect them. More important, we must engage in dialogue and collaborate to better understand the current disability discourse and apply the lessons drawn from the disability and the youth movement's experiences. Dear friends, Ecuador chairs the 13th Conference of State Parties, which offers an opportunity for state parties and all stakeholders to reflect on experiences and lessons learned during the pandemic, identifying gaps to strengthen policies and improve our practices to fully implement the convention. The Conference of State Parties has been steadily growing and has become one of the largest and most important global forums on disability issues. As the international community is taking action to build back better after the current crisis and achieve the 2030 Agenda, our deliberations and contributions at the Conference of State Parties becomes more relevant and important. We must amplify our efforts to fully implement the Convention while pursuing sustainable development for our people in line with the SDGs. Taking into account all these new developments, the Bureau decided to choose an overarching theme for the 13th session, a decade of action and dedication for inclusive sustainable development, implementation of CRPD, and the 2030 Agenda for all persons with disabilities. This theme has been addressed during this whole week dedicated to persons with disabilities from November 30 to December 4th, with many activities at the UN, which include 3 virtual roundtables on every substantive issue. These 3 roundtables also consider the cross-cutting theme of strengthening capacity building to fully implement the CRPD and the SDGs for persons with disabilities, in particular women and girls with disabilities. These issues are of the utmost importance in our current social environment. These include topics that require our attention as they address a wide range of factors that will directly influence how our societies will continue to respond to the rightful demands of persons with disabilities. Dear friends, as I expressed last Monday at the opening of the COSP, every crisis can become an opportunity. It is up to all of us to ensure that the world emerges from this pandemic as a more just place, free from discrimination and violence. This historic moment can be translated into enormous support to jointly solve social problems, to build back better, and to promote, with great emphasis on rights of persons with disabilities. Improving accessibility, strengthening inclusion, solidarity, and equality for young persons with disabilities must remain our priority. We are convinced that only together we will achieve these objectives to benefit those who rightfully claim nothing about us without us. Thank you very much.